Monday. Hey, it's early. 0 degrees when I woke up. This is my first time talking, so I apologize for my voice. I'm fully congested. Excuse me, I'm terribly sorry. I'm going to try not to do that. Monday. Very cold. The boys are still here. Their church was canceled yesterday. School is canceled today. Boy Scouts is canceled for tonight. So sorry. I parked my car on Friday afternoon after running my errands. I've not moved it since. I went out yesterday and swept the snow off of it. We got a total of about 10 inches, mostly throughout the day, Saturday. And there was such a dry, powdery, cold snow that like none of it stuck to my car. Like I swept it all off and then just hit the windshield wipers and it just brushed it away. And there's no scraping, nothing. It was just the driest snow I've ever seen in my life. Couldn't hardly make a snowball out of it. So my car should be ready to go, although I have a tire that keeps going low in the cold. So anyhow, my focus this week is I've got a whole chapter of the book project I have to write by Wednesday. What's that? I'm shedding. Look at that. I have I've got to come up with like somewhere at least $1,200. Ideally more like $1,500. Like in the next couple of days I've got to get this bank paperwork sent off for my mortgage, and it's got to include a check for whatever that was, $770 something dollars. I'll figure that out. So I'm going to be in find the money mode today, and I'm gonna stay inside. Like I said, I haven't moved my car now. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. This will be 72 hours as of this afternoon. I got no plans to get in it today. To be honest, I don't have any plans to get in it tomorrow unless the boys end up going back to school. I'll have to fetch them in the afternoon, but by then it may actually be up to above freezing. Let's see what the weather says for tomorrow. Oh, we're all the way up to 3 degrees now. Yeah, see, tomorrow it might be 34 for the high, and that's, things will start melting. My poor chickens have been freezing their butts off for days. I mean, they're doing okay, but, they're not wanting to come out into their yard and walk around and get any exercise because they don't want to walk in the snow. I've had other chickens in the past that didn't mind walking in the snow at all, but this particular set of birds, they're not having it. Anyhow, I guess I haven't really talked much on this channel, about the mental health issues that caused me to make this channel in the first place. I don't know, I feel like I'm not depressed like I used to be, because, and I have friends say, well, you're depressed, and I'm like, oh, I'm not really depressed. And they're like, well, of course you are. And it's like, I don't know, I've had a lifelong history of depression since I was a child, and, I mean, I'm in a bad place here, socially and financially and emotionally for a lot of reasons, but, I don't know. It's just Buddhist practice stuff, and like I said, I'm not trying to foist a Buddhist practice off on anybody. I am in no way a pure Buddhist. I've cobbled together a practice out of reading books and talking to older people and listening to, a few Alan Watts tapes here and there, and I don't know. It's been a long time coming, Sorry. Really, it started probably when I was a teenager and still believed in God and You know, I grew up going to the Church of Christ and was very devout as a child, you know, even though no one in my family was. I mean, I wasn't devoutly religious like to the church, but I really believed, you know. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. I prayed all the way up to my 30s, even though I really, excuse me, I really suspected that there was no God, I think, for a long time before that. But right before I moved into this house, which has been 20 years now, I lived in a little mother-in-law house behind here. And I had a moment over there. I had like my moment of enlightenment was I just had this day where I was anxious and depressed and crying, and just all these parts of my life were just crashing down on me in my mind, you know. And you know, I'd been praying and praying. I had OCD too, and I don't know if we've discussed this, but I suffered for many years from OCD behavior. And one of my chief ones was counting and chanting. And they're related. And I don't want to get into the whole cycle of that today, but part of my OCD was these prayers. And, you know, and I believed them. I meant them. Even though I was skeptical about anybody being there to listen to them, you know. And then I had one day in my 30s, mid to late 30s, when I lived in the little house here, where I just one day was like, everything in the world adds up if there is no God. Like if this universe is absent a guiding hand that gives a shit about people, you know. And it's just like, then I was like a bell rang, and like I laughed. It's like, there is no God. None of this shit is personal. Like, I'm sorry, I keep fiddling with my whiskers, but I see them. So, you know, that was the deal, you know. I just, like, the minute I accepted, like, in my mind and in my heart, totally and unequivocally, there just is no God. Now do all the math. And it all makes sense. And it's just like, now it seems so readily apparent. It's clear that there's no God. It's clear that there's no God. And, like, you know, we got all these weirdos running around wearing crosses and, you know, claiming to speak for him and doing the most vile shit in the history of the world, you know. So my kids now go to Catholic school and church because of their mother. And, you know, I'm not going to fight them on that. But, you know, I have to constantly be a bulwark against them being brainwashed with this stuff, you know. And, you know, maybe in the end that'll give them a really nice round philosophical and spiritual education, you know, and they can make their own decisions later on. But I'm of the mind that you can never do better than operating as if there is no God, whether you believe in him or not. If you believe in God, then pretend that there isn't one, and then do what you would do to make the world better in his absence. If everybody did that, the whole world would be better. And that's not what I'm seeing, especially from the God Squad. So, anyway, I just handle my depression better now, I guess, at the end, is where this is all coming around to. Because I don't really feel depressed, you know. I just try to stay in the moment, and it really does help. And I say it every day, but it's because I mean it and it's true. So anyway, this is by far the longest video I've made on here now. I didn't mean to get off on a rant. The boys will be coming downstairs for the morning anytime now, so I'm going to get off of here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for giving a shit. And thank you for caring enough about this to watch me and listen to me. And I don't know. It's just word salad now. So I'm just going to go off till tomorrow. Have a good one. Stay warm. And be here now. Till then.